Welcome back to Narrative Network. Imagine being on a busy city street, hustling to make ends meet, when you stumble upon a moment that changes everything. That's exactly what happened to Jamal, a street-smart kid with a big heart, who warns a wealthy tycoon not to eat a dish prepared by his own wife. His warning? Don't eat that. Your wife poisoned it. What happens next is beyond belief. A shocking revelation that spirals into a life-altering journey for both Jamal and the tycoon. Stay until the end to uncover the twists and turns of this emotional and inspiring story. How does one bold act of courage create ripples that transform countless lives? If this story captivates you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let us know your thoughts and share this incredible tale with your friends. Let's dive in. The bustling streets of downtown Chicago were alive with their usual chaos. Among the throngs of people, a young boy named Jamal darted through the crowd, his worn sneakers slapping against the pavement. At only 13, Jamal had learned to navigate the unforgiving streets, relying on his wits to survive. His home was a small, run-down apartment he shared with his grandmother, but most of his time was spent on the streets, selling candy bars and shining shoes to scrape together some extra cash. Across town, billionaire tycoon Charles Langston, known for his luxury real estate empire, sat at an outdoor cafe, engrossed in his phone. Despite his wealth and success, Charles wore an air of dissatisfaction. His personal life was a mess. His marriage to Vanessa, a woman with whom he shared little in common, had grown cold over the years. Trust between them was non-existent, and rumors of her infidelity swirled constantly. Jamal's keen eyes spotted Charles from a distance. The boy had a knack for recognizing faces from news articles and TV segments. "That's him," Jamal whispered to himself. "The big-shot billionaire." His stomach rumbled, but he wasn't about to beg. Instead, he approached with his candy bars, hoping to make a sale. "Excuse me, sir," Jamal said, holding up his candy bars. "Would you like to buy one? Just $1." Charles glanced up, momentarily annoyed by the interruption, but something about Jamal's earnest face softened him. $1, huh? What's the catch?" "No catch," Jamal replied. "I'm just trying to help my grandma pay the bills." Charles smiled faintly and reached into his pocket, pulling out a $20 bill. "Keep the change," he said, taking a candy bar. Jamal's eyes widened. "Seriously? Thanks, mister." He was about to walk away when his sharp eyes caught something strange. A woman had approached Charles's table moments earlier, placing a covered dish before him. She left quickly, her face obscured by oversized sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat. Jamal noticed the way the woman moved, hurried and tense, as if she wanted to avoid being seen. Something about her seemed off, and Jamal couldn't shake the feeling that he recognized her from somewhere. Then it hit him. It was Vanessa Langston, Charles's wife. He'd seen her in a magazine article about the wealthy couple. As Charles lifted the lid of the dish, Jamal felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He didn't know why, but he felt compelled to act. "Don't eat that," Jamal shouted, startling Charles and the nearby diners. "Your wife poisoned it." Charles froze, his fork halfway to his mouth. "What did you just say?" Jamal stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I saw her. That lady who left the dish. She's your wife, right? She looked like she didn't want anyone to see her." "I'm telling you, don't eat it." Charles's expression shifted from confusion to anger. "Listen, kid, I don't know what kind of game you're playing." "I'm not playing," Jamal interrupted, his tone desperate. "I swear something's wrong. Just smell it or something before you eat it." Reluctantly, Charles leaned closer to the dish and inhaled. A strange, bitter odor wafted up. His frown deepened. What the hell? Just then, his phone buzzed. It was a text from Vanessa. "Enjoy the surprise, darling." Charles's blood ran cold. He motioned for a waiter, asking for the dish to be taken away discreetly. He then turned to Jamal. "All right, kid, you have my attention. Let's talk." Jamal and Charles moved to a quieter corner of the cafe. Charles listened intently as Jamal recounted what he had seen. The boy's observations were sharp, and his story was too specific to dismiss as a fabrication. "You're telling me you think my wife tried to poison me?" Charles asked, his voice low. Jamal nodded. "I don't know for sure, but something about the way she acted wasn't right. And that food smelled weird." Charles's mind raced. His marriage to Vanessa had been deteriorating for years. They rarely spoke, and when they did, it usually ended in arguments. Recently, Vanessa had been pushing for a divorce, but Charles suspected she was after a hefty settlement. Could she really be capable of something so extreme? He decided to investigate. "Come with me, Jamal," he said. "You might have just saved my life, and I want to know the whole story." Charles and Jamal drove to Charles's private lab, where he had access to state-of-the-art equipment. He had the dish tested for any unusual substances. Hours later, the results came back. Traces of a dangerous toxin were found in the food. Charles stared at the report in disbelief. "She really did it," he muttered. "She tried to kill me." Jamal, sitting across the room, shifted uncomfortably. "What are you gonna do?" Charles's expression hardened. "First, I'm going to make sure she doesn't get away with this. And second, I'm going to thank you, Jamal." Charles enlisted the help of his legal team and a private investigator to gather evidence against Vanessa. With Jamal's testimony and the lab results, they built a solid case. Over the next few weeks, the investigator uncovered even more damning information. Vanessa had been funneling money into secret offshore accounts and was in cahoots with a known con artist. Charles confronted Vanessa in a controlled setting, recording the conversation as she unwittingly admitted to her scheme. Her motives were clear. She wanted Charles out of the picture so she could inherit his fortune and escape with her lover. With enough evidence in hand, Charles turned everything over to the authorities. Vanessa was arrested and charged with attempted murder, fraud, and conspiracy. With the ordeal behind him, Charles didn't forget about Jamal. The boy's quick thinking and bravery had saved his life, and Charles felt a deep sense of gratitude. "Jamal," Charles said one day, inviting the boy and his grandmother to his office, "you've been dealt a tough hand, but you're one of the smartest and most courageous people I've ever met. I want to help." Charles offered to pay for Jamal's education, ensuring he would have every opportunity to succeed. He also provided financial support to Jamal's grandmother, allowing her to live comfortably without the constant stress of bills. Jamal was overwhelmed. "Thank you, Mr. Langston. I don't know what to say." "Just promise me one thing," Charles said. "Never stop trusting your instincts. They're what make you extraordinary." Years passed, and Jamal thrived under Charles's mentorship. He excelled in school, eventually earning a scholarship to a prestigious university. He stayed in touch with Charles, who had become like a second father to him. As for Charles, the experience had profoundly changed him. He stepped away from his cutthroat business practices, choosing instead to focus on philanthropy. He established a foundation dedicated to helping underprivileged youth, inspired by Jamal's resilience and potential. The community center became a beacon of hope for the underserved neighborhoods of Chicago. Programs in education, arts, sports, mentorship, and mentorship thrived under the guidance of Charles and Jamal. The center offered after-school tutoring, career counseling, and even mental health services, all at no cost to participants. Jamal, now in his 20s, took on a leadership role at the center, working closely with Charles. He mentored young kids who reminded him of his younger self, full of potential, but struggling to overcome the challenges life had thrown their way. Each success story became a reminder of how far he had come. One of the boys at the center, a quiet and artistic 12-year-old named Malik, looked up to Jamal. Malik struggled with confidence, often doubting his ability to pursue his passion for art. Jamal made it his mission to encourage him. "You know, Malik," Jamal said one day, sitting with the boy in the center's art room, "I used to think I wasn't good enough too, but someone believed in me and helped me see what I was capable of. You've got something special. Don't let fear hold you back." Malik nodded, his eyes lighting up with determination. "Thanks, Mr. Jamal. I'll try." For Charles, the events that began with Jamal's warning had not only saved his life, but also reshaped his purpose. He reflected on how his business empire, once built on cutthroat deals and an unrelenting drive for profit, had done little to bring him lasting fulfillment. His work with the foundation and the community center filled that void. Charles began using his wealth to fund scholarships, build affordable housing, and create job training programs. He became a champion for social justice, often speaking publicly about the importance of giving back and creating opportunities for those who needed it most. One evening, Charles sat with Jamal on the steps of the community center after a long day of meetings and events. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the city. "You know, Jamal," Charles began, "I used to think success was about money and power, but you taught me that real success is about how many lives you can touch. You changed everything for me." Jamal grinned. "And you changed everything for me. Guess we make a good team." Despite their progress, challenges arose. One day, Charles and Jamal learned that the funding for the community center was being threatened due to bureaucratic hurdles and local politics. Some city officials were skeptical of Charles's intentions, believing his philanthropic work was a publicity stunt. Jamal was furious. "They don't see what we've built here. How can they just take it away?" Charles placed a calming hand on his shoulder. "We'll fight this, Jamal. Together." The duo rallied the community, organizing a massive town hall meeting. Hundreds of people showed up, parents, children, and volunteers, all eager to defend the center. One by one, they shared stories of how the center had changed their lives. When Malik stood up to speak, his voice was steady despite his nervousness. "Before this place, I didn't think I could do anything special, but Mr. Jamal and Mr. Langston helped me believe in myself. I want to grow up and make a difference, just like they do." The crowd erupted in applause, and even the skeptical officials couldn't deny the impact of the center. Thanks to the overwhelming support, the funding for the community center was secured. The victory strengthened the bond between Charles, Jamal, and the community they served. It also attracted new donors and partners who wanted to be part of their mission. The center expanded, opening new branches in other neighborhoods, each offering the same life-changing programs and services. Jamal and Charles became well-known figures in Chicago, celebrated for their tireless efforts to uplift others. Years later, Charles announced his decision to step down from his leadership role at the foundation, entrusting Jamal to take the reins. At a formal ceremony, Charles spoke to a room filled with friends, supporters, and beneficiaries of their work. "Jamal saved my life in more ways than one," Charles said, his voice filled with emotion. "He reminded me of what truly matters. It's been an honor to work alongside him, and I know the future of this foundation is in the best possible hands." Jamal, now a confident and accomplished leader, took the stage. "None of this would have been possible without Mr. Langston. He saw something in me when no one else did. Together, we've shown that one act of kindness can create ripples that change the world." The audience gave them a standing ovation, their applause echoing through the hall. Jamal's leadership brought innovation and growth to the foundation. His vision expanded beyond Chicago, targeting underserved communities in other cities. With a strong team and Charles's mentorship, Jamal launched programs focusing on technology access, career mentorship, and financial literacy, helping youth and families build sustainable futures. One of the flagship programs, named the Ripple Initiative, aimed to empower young leaders to take charge of their communities. Jamal believed that true change started with the people who lived and worked in these neighborhoods, and he was determined to give them the tools to succeed. Charles, though officially retired, couldn't stay away from the work he loved. He often attended events and provided input during strategy meetings. "This is your legacy, Jamal," he'd say, "but I'm honored to still be part of it." The foundation's impact soon gained national attention. Media outlets covered the success stories, from young entrepreneurs launching businesses with the foundation's support to families breaking free from cycles of poverty. One such story was that of Malik, the once shy artist who had grown into a confident young man. With Jamal's encouragement, Malik showcased his artwork at a gallery event hosted by the foundation. The event drew significant attention, leading to Malik earning scholarships and commissions that helped him build a career as a professional artist. At the event's closing, Malik approached Jamal and Charles. "You both changed my life," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I want to give back, just like you did for me." Charles smiled. "That's the beauty of the ripple effect. It keeps going." Amid the foundation's growth, Jamal reached a personal milestone, earning his master's degree in social entrepreneurship. It was a significant moment for someone who had once roamed the streets selling candy bars to make ends meet. At his graduation ceremony, Charles and his grandmother sat proudly in the audience. After the ceremony, his grandmother hugged him tightly. "I always knew you were destined for greatness," she said, tears streaming down her face. Charles added, "This is just the beginning, Jamal. Your impact will reach far beyond what either of us can imagine." On the 15th anniversary of the foundation, Jamal and Charles were honored with a prestigious humanitarian award. The ceremony celebrated their work and the countless lives they had transformed. As Jamal took the stage to accept the award, he reflected on the journey that had brought them to that moment. "I was just a kid trying to sell candy on the streets," Jamal said, his voice steady but emotional. "But one act of kindness from Mr. Langston set my life on a completely different path. What started as a warning to help him turned into a partnership that has helped thousands. This isn't just my story or his, it's all of ours. Together we've shown that kindness and courage can create ripples that change the world." The audience erupted into applause, and Jamal's grandmother, sitting next to Charles, wiped away tears of pride. As the years passed, Jamal and Charles continued to inspire others. The foundation became a global movement, with initiatives in cities around the world. Jamal's story was featured in books, documentaries, and educational programs, becoming a testament to the power of resilience and compassion. Charles, now in his twilight years, took comfort in knowing that the foundation was in capable hands. "You've exceeded every expectation I ever had, Jamal," he said during one of their final strategy meetings. "You've built something extraordinary." Jamal smiled. "I couldn't have done it without you." When the time came for Charles to fully step away, he entrusted Jamal with not just the foundation, but the values they had built it upon. Jamal, now a seasoned leader, carried forward their mission with the same passion and dedication. One day, Jamal stood at the foundation's headquarters, now a sprawling complex that bore the name Langston Harper Center for Change. As he looked at the bustling activity around him, he felt immense gratitude for the journey that had brought him there. Years later, Jamal sat with his own son, recounting the story of how his life had changed forever. "It all started with a moment on the streets," he said, smiling. "One small decision to help someone, and everything changed." His son listened intently, his eyes wide with wonder. "Do you think I can do something like that one day?" he asked. Jamal placed a hand on his son's shoulder. "You already can. Never underestimate the power of kindness. Even the smallest actions can create ripples that last forever." As Jamal watched his son run off to join his friends, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The legacy of kindness and courage he had built with Charles would live on, carried forward by the next generation and beyond. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more exciting and inspiring content. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family to spread the message. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below, and we'll see you in the next video.